So Douglas, thanks for amazing talk. And I have few questions. And first question, like, what do you think is your role in like blockchain economy? And what kind of career path that bring you here to working in blockchain?
Are you asking my role personally or Cadena's role as?
So it's up to you. Maybe like a role of the company or a role of you. So
Okay. I believe Cadena. What we're trying to do is build a scalable blockchain based on proof of work. Proof of work is the one thing that we actually know works. It's been tried and proven for a decade or more now, and so we think that's a really good foundation to build on, and we think we can make it scale. So we think we can build a level 1 solution that will scale, and all the level 2 scaling solutions will still be perfectly applicable for if you need more performance than you get out of the box with our chain web blockchain. As far as the career paths, I personally got here because I got interested in Haskell about 10 years ago, and I just went off and wrote Haskell on my own because I was interested and enjoyed it, and eventually was able to get a Haskell job about 8 years ago, which I was pretty fortunate. There were not very many Haskell jobs around at that time, and I've been programming Haskell ever since, and Cadena is all Haskell for everything, and so it was a natural place for me to come.
okay, cool. And now, like a lot of hype around blockchain. So the question is, what do you think? What's kind of real business problems that we can solve with blockchain technology?
So as I mentioned in my talk, I feel the core improvement that blockchains gave us was being able to make data tamper-proof. So applications where it's important to be tamper-proof, I think, are really ideal for blockchain. Just to use kind of a I don't know, pop culture example, I saw the TV show Billions, where they falsified some evidence records. If that evidence had been stored digitally in a blockchain, it couldn't be falsified. Now, I don't know whether it will be cost effective to use blockchains for that exact example, but I think it's a really good illustration of the possibilities. If you want to have records of a police interview that can't possibly be changed after the fact, put them in the blockchain and you have that. So that's just one example. It may be a little bit more extreme than most because it's law enforcement and that kind of has a little bit more weight associated with it. But I think there are a number of applications that can benefit from not being able to tamper with data, and I can't even begin to think of what all they might be. I think one of the main characteristics of innovative technologies is you really can't predict where they're going to be used and how they're going to actually work out. So I have no idea, but I would focus on the core things that blockchains do that couldn't be done before. And one of those things is making things tamper-proof, digital things tamper-proof.
Okay, thanks. And you're talking with a lot of customers or potential customers. What are their qualities about blockchain? What is their expectation about technology?
So one industry that we're talking to is the supply chain industry, and I'm not a supply chain person, so I'm definitely out of my element here, but my understanding is that there's lots of situations where businesses are coordinating with each other, and one business will say, oh, I shipped this thing, and another business will say, I took that thing and shipped it for you, and they need their records to agree. And there are situations where people might have an incentive to tamper with it, and blockchains seem like they could be a decent application there. Any kind of coordination between multiple entities that don't necessarily want to trust the other entity. That's where this blockchain distributed nature, you don't have to trust a centralized source, I think can become useful.
Okay, and as an engineer, as a software engineer who is working with blockchain, what's the most technical challenge that you faced with blockchain technology?
Oh wow, that's a great question. I guess just making the problem that we're trying to solve, making a programming language that can allow us to write smart contracts that aren't buggy and that do what we say. That's incredibly difficult, and I'm sure that it's going to take a long time and many iterations before we like start to get closer to the solution. But I think that's a really difficult problem, and it speaks to the general software problem of, how do we make correct programs. If you compare the software industry to other hard engineering disciplines, software isn't so great in terms of how reliable our products are, and how well they work and don't break over time. So I think that there's a whole lot of research to be done there to just improve the quality of not only smart contract software but software in general.
Okay, and like as engineer, what do you think the main skill set of the blockchain specialist should have? Like, for example, for engineer or business analyst who work in with the blockchain technology.
There's so many different skills. It's hard to say any particular set. I think just general programming skills are really important. You need to have, if you're going to work on some lower level blockchain technology like infrastructure, you need things like distributed systems knowledge, some database knowledge. Like we're demonstrating with Cadena, programming languages we think are a really useful thing or area of study to draw from. But if you're just using blockchains and writing smart contracts on top of them, I would say standard software skills, being able to think critically and represent a problem as a sequence of steps, and have good, well-organized code that's clear and easy for other people to read. Just kind of good logical thinking. I would not particularly recommend diving in and labeling yourself as one particular technology expert, but be able to learn. And the only thing that we know we are going to be doing is changing and learning new things now, because the pace of change is so fast. And so you really have to not get stuck in any particular thing that you're comfortable with, but be aggressively learning new things and willing to adopt new technologies as they become useful.
And as a community, what can we do, to prevent blockchain winter? To help business, to solve real problems with the blockchain.
Oh, that's a good question. I think we really need to reduce the risk associated with all of these things. We are trying to do that by creating a language that allows you to build contracts with more confidence. But if there's too much risk, then they're not going to put their money into these contracts, and adoption's going to be slow. What we want is people to be playing and using and trying new things. And I think there's going to be some growing pains with how the stakes are high. There's lots of money on the line. So there's going to be, that slows things down inherently. But we need to figure out ways of getting both. We like that stakes are high, that's great, but we still want to be able to iterate quickly and try new things and experiment. And I think those are the important characteristics that we need to focus on.
Okay, thanks. And last question. So what do you think about conference so far?
It's great. I actually flew in this morning, and so I didn't get here right when it started. I got here later in the morning, but really enjoying it. It's just a gorgeous space here in Amsterdam. I'm liking it a lot.
Okay, thank you very much.